But let's take a listen to what Christy or Stephanie White, geez, not Stephanie Sides, said about Caitlin Clark. And if you guys agree with this, please subscribe. We are trying to get back. We're trying to get to, like, if we can get to 58,000 subscribers by the end of the finals, that would be insane. We're trying to hit 60,000 subscribers by the start of next year. That is the goal. And then we're pushing. We are pushing. We're not going to hit it, but we are pushing for 80K coming into, that's kind of the goal, pushing for 80K coming into the 2027 WNBA.
Stephanie White recently addressed an intriguing situation regarding Caitlin Clark's name being constantly mentioned during CBA negotiations by various parties, despite Clark herself remaining relatively silent on the matter. White's response reveals a close personal bond between the coach and her star player, suggesting genuine mutual respect beyond just their professional relationship. White has demonstrated throughout the season that she's strategic with media interactions, possibly providing misleading information to shield her players. Her press conference statements might not always reflect reality. Instead, she appears to craft responses that satisfy media expectations while protecting team interests. During one particular media session, White was questioned about Clark being drawn into CBA discussions and her subsequent response to those mentions. White expressed frustration with the entire situation surrounding her young star. White described Clark as a 23-year-old athlete whose primary passion is simply playing basketball.
Into the 2027 WNBA season, then we're going for 100. The long game is the long game, lads. But anyway, let's take a listen right here.
Kind of getting brought into that, Caitlin Clark responding to it. What has been your overall assessment of that dialogue and as it relates to your star player?
Yeah, I mean, I hate it all for Caitlin. I feel like, she's a 23-year-old kid who loves to play this game, who is a...
The coach pointed out that Clark has become a tool leveraged by numerous parties for their own agendas. This observation holds truth. The league office, the commissioner, and various stakeholders have all positioned Clark at the center of these negotiations. Clark's exceptional talent on the court has inadvertently made her a central figure in narratives she didn't create or necessarily endorse. White lamented how Clark is being caught up in storylines controlled by others. The coach noted that the WNBA is experiencing growing pains associated with transitioning into mainstream professional sports status. White acknowledged the league's critical juncture, drawing from her own experience with the very first WNBA collective bargaining agreement, when basic provisions like year-round insurance were top priorities. Now, with the league's expansion and success, players rightfully deserve improved compensation and working conditions.
She's a 23-year-old kid who loves to play this game, who is a pawn in a lot of other people's games.
I mean, she's not wrong. That includes the WNBA, and that includes the commissioner, includes everyone. Like, she is being used as a pawn by every single person in these talks. And yeah, she's just a very good basketball player.
A lot of other people's narratives, and I hate that for her. We're coming into a time in the WNBA where we're kind of...
White emphasized that league leadership must evolve to match where the organization currently stands. White's assessment carries weight. The league's approach toward players deserves scrutiny. Even those who might argue that players' demands exceed reasonable expectations would likely concede that ownership hasn't shown adequate respect for the athletes. This is particularly relevant considering certain players, specifically the Indiana-based star being discussed, have been instrumental in driving the league's recent surge in popularity and future profitability. White continued by stressing the importance of understanding both the league's current position and the perspectives driving players' positions. She highlighted how several coaches, including Becky Hammon, Noelle Quinn from Seattle, and herself, have deep roots in the WNBA as former players.
In the WNBA, where we're kind of part of the growing pains of becoming quote unquote mainstream professional sport, is some of this stuff. I do think that we are at a pivotal moment in terms of the league's history. And look, I was a part of the very first collective bargaining agreement of the WNBA, where we wanted insurance all year long, to now where it is growing and players do deserve more. And leadership needs to reflect where we are as a league.
I mean, she's not wrong. She's not wrong at all. Like, I think everyone, like the league,
For these coaches, the league represents more than employment. It's woven into their identity. They've matured within this system and feel profound pride in the league's achievements. This history gives them insight into necessary changes and effective leadership qualities. White outlined what authentic leadership entails: accepting responsibility, acknowledging one's role in driving progress, and not merely recognizing league participants but actively empowering them, embracing their contributions, and comprehending their value. White stressed that employees represent any organization's most valuable resource. She reiterated that the league faces a defining moment requiring careful navigation.
She's not wrong at all. Like, I think everyone, like the league aren't respecting the players enough. I think even if you want to argue the players are expecting too much, and I think there's a very good argument to make that the players are expecting too much. Even if you want to argue that, I think we can all agree that the owners do not respect the players as much as they should, considering the players are the reason. Especially one player in Indiana who is being talked about here is a big reason why, everything's booming and they're eventually going to make a profit.
White's statements are hard to dispute. Regardless of debates about whether she's the optimal coaching match for Clark's playing style, her loyalty to the player is evident. If somehow the Clark-White partnership doesn't succeed, hypothetically there's talent elsewhere, like a certain player in Dallas who might mesh well with White's coaching approach, potentially creating trade possibilities involving multiple assets. Ideally, though, the current situation works out. White's defense of Clark stands out. White knows Clark better than outside observers ever could.
And also understand where we are as a league and where players' perspectives are coming from. And, we have coaches on the sidelines, and Becky Hammond and myself, and of course Noah Quinn, who was in Seattle, who played in this league. This league is part of our lifeblood. Like we have grown up in this league, and we take pride in this league and the success of this league, and we also take pride in understanding what needs to be done and in leadership. And part of leadership is taking accountability. Part of leadership is owning how we move the needle. Part of leadership is not just recognizing.
It's apparent from Clark's behavior that she's uncomfortable with being used for promotional purposes. When Unrivaled repeatedly used Clark's name for marketing despite her non-participation, her discomfort was visible. When Unrivaled introduced wildcard spots and immediately afterwards suggested they were still negotiating with 2 players right after Clark mentioned focusing on Team USA, Clark's representative swiftly clarified she wouldn't be playing. These patterns suggest Clark dislikes being instrumentalized in negotiations. The contrast in Clark's responses to different situations tells a story. When Nafisa Collier made statements, many offered enthusiastic praise and full agreement.
Not just recognizing the people who are part of this league, but empowering and embracing and understanding what they bring. And, your employees are your number one asset. And so I do feel like we're at a pivotal moment. I do feel like we're at a time where.
So yeah, obviously, look, I don't disagree with anything Stephanie White has said. Honestly, at this stage, when it comes to Stephanie White, like whether or not I believe that, she is the whether she is, the right coach for Caitlin Clark, just stylistically, give her a.
Clark's response was notably measured. He expressed respect for Collier and acknowledged some valid points, but didn't claim agreement with everything or describe all points as excellent. Watching Clark field these questions revealed visible discomfort. She clearly didn't want to engage with these topics. When asked about Kathy Engelbert's comments, Clark essentially deflected by promoting Taylor Swift's latest album before walking away. That album, incidentally, receives excessive criticism. It's neither masterpiece nor disaster, just a decent middle-of-the-road release with some questionable lyrical choices, reasonably rated around 6 out of 10. Clark ending her response this way demonstrated her desire to escape these questions entirely.
Stylistically, give her a lifetime deal with the Indiana Fever. If Caitlin and her can't work it out, there's a player out in Dallas who could probably work it out with Stephanie White that you could get in a trade for Caitlin, and you could probably get another asset and you could probably get multiple assets and that player out in Dallas, and it could be a win-win. But obviously, ideally, it works out. But it is very clear. Also, Hamjad said this is on.
Clark being pressured to comment on everything while other players can decline without consequence highlights disparities in media treatment. If Alyssa Thomas refuses comment, nobody particularly cares. The WNBA media don't prioritize Thomas. They ranked her as the 7th best forward. Similarly, Jackie Young was rated as the 12th best guard. The media's true focus centers on Clark. Even journalists who criticize Clark dedicate most attention to her because she drives engagement.
National Basketball Association Commissioner Adam Silver, and people start glancing in his direction that this is partially his fault, Engelbert is going to be out, and she's going to be out very quickly because people are starting to glance in Adam Silver's direction now. And you see this. This is The Athletic.
Unless Angel Reese makes controversial decisions or Sophie Cunningham makes provocative statements, few other players generate comparable interest. Cunningham has become another media favorite because her comments consistently create headlines. That captures the essence of White's remarks and the broader situation surrounding Clark's unwilling involvement in CBA discussions. The current situation facing Women's National Basketball Association Commissioner Cathy Engelbert appears increasingly dire. Evidence suggests her tenure may be coming to an abrupt conclusion. The recent controversial statements from Nafisa Collier, who seemingly spoke on behalf of Caitlin Clark without her knowledge, have created significant turmoil.
By the way, The Athletic, owned by the New York Times. Yikes. Yikes. The pressure is officially on. It's officially hitting a boiling point. Cathy Engelbert is not the WNBA's future. Look at the rest of this headline. Soon, the commish may not even be its present. It's a wrap. It is a wrap.
When Clark herself advocates for fresh guidance at the top, the writing appears on the wall. More significantly, scrutiny has begun shifting toward National Basketball Association Commissioner Adam Silver, with observers questioning his role in the current crisis. Once Silver becomes entangled in the controversy, Engelbert's departure becomes virtually inevitable. The pressure will force swift action. A recent piece from The Athletic, which operates under New York Times ownership, signals the severity of the situation. The publication's assessment proves devastating.
It's a wrap. It is a wrap. Absolutely. It is a wrap. The WNBA under Commissioner Cathy Engelbert's watch secured $75 million in its first ever capital raise in 2022. The league secured $925 million in new franchise fees. The new buy-in price is $250 million, up $50 million from 2023. In 2024 alone, the WNBA...
Their headline declares Engelbert cannot represent the WNBA's trajectory moving forward. More alarmingly, they suggest she might not even remain in her current role much longer. The situation has reached critical mass. During Engelbert's leadership, the organization achieved its inaugural capital infusion of $75 million in 2022. Additional expansion fees totaling $925 million were collected. Recent franchise valuations climbed to $250 million, representing a $50 million increase from the previous cycle in 2023.
In 2024 alone, the WNBA generated another $76 million in sponsorship revenue. An impressive haul for a league pushing 30 and still not turning a profit. How is that impressive? Okay. Surely a press release is being crafted for the record sponsorship revenue. With Engelbert at the helm, the WNBA has experienced its greatest glow-up. Still, her allies seem harder to find than a...
Throughout 2024 specifically, sponsorship deals brought in another $76 million. These numbers appear substantial for an organization approaching 3 decades of operation, yet failing to achieve profitability. Despite these financial milestones, questions remain about their true significance. Engelbert's administration witnessed the league's most explosive growth period. Nevertheless, finding supporters proves increasingly difficult. Her backing has evaporated completely.
Glow up. Still, her allies seem harder to find than a salad at a barbecue. She's got nobody in her corner anymore. She does not have anybody in her corner. Perhaps even more important, the public dissent from the players, the owners, who tend to care more about revenue than anything, aren't lining up in unison behind the scenes. The owners, she works for the owners. Adam Silver works for the owners.
The visible disapproval from athletes carries enormous weight. Ownership groups, typically focused primarily on financial returns, no longer stand unanimously supportive behind closed doors. Since commissioners serve ownership interests directly, this development proves catastrophic. Silver similarly answers to these same owners. Their withdrawal of confidence signals the end. Minnesota Lynx standout Nafisa Collier recently characterized the organization's management as, quote, worst in the world, delivering severe damage to Engelbert's standing.
For the owners. Adam Silver works for the owners. The owners are no longer behind Kathy Engelbert. Yikes. Yikes. Lynx star Nafisa Collier earlier this week called the WNBA's leadership, quote, worst in the world, and charred Engelbert's reputation by painting her as uncaring about players and demanding more praise for the league's growth. Wow. Because Engelbert reports to NBA Commissioner.
Collier portrayed the commissioner as indifferent toward player concerns while demanding excessive recognition for organizational expansion. The criticism stings particularly because Engelbert operates under Silver's supervision. Various NBA insiders contacted by The Athletic privately speculate whether Collier's comments triggered a chain reaction leading toward executive replacement. The momentum already exists. Sources within both organizations, speaking anonymously due to authorization restrictions, believe this controversy might expedite changes already under consideration.
Because Engelbert reports to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, multiple NBA sources were queried by The Athletic about Engelbert, and privately, some wonder if Collier is set in motion a wave that leads to a new executive face. Already set in motion. Yikes. WNBA and NBA sources speaking on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly.
Numerous parties endorsed the criticisms Collier made public, including several prominent stars. Notably, some ownership groups controlling both NBA and WNBA franchises number among those welcoming new leadership. These influential stakeholders now seek different representation. The situation becomes terminal when ownership abandons their designated representative. Commissioners fundamentally function as spokespersons serving ownership interests. The league's financial progression isn't generating goodwill for Engelbert, indicating problems beyond standard player management friction.
Of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly, said that they think this might accelerate change that was already coming. So she was already out. This is about to speed it up. Some agree with the sentiment made by the public, made public by Collier and supported by fellow stars, and at least a few of the owners who also have NBA franchises, so powerful owners, are among those who...
Collier's public statements revealed that throughout 6 years in charge, Engelbert failed to cultivate meaningful support from either constituency. Neither players nor owners expressed strong allegiance. This dual rejection proves fatal. Numerous sources identify interpersonal abilities as primary concerns. Accessibility and communication represent persistent challenges. Leading a league characterized by social consciousness and political engagement requires exceptional communication talents, particularly when addressing delicate situations and pivotal moments.